Yo, guys, what's really good? You're tuning into Spill TV. Today, we're going to dive into some topic, man. I need to speak on this. Guys, if you're just locked in, man, this is my first ever piece of content that I'm putting on YouTube, talking on these type of topics and so on and so forth. So, you know what to do, man. Hit the subscribe button, tap that like button, and let's get deep into it. Right, guys, first of all, I want to start by saying that there was a very tragic event that happened in Cincinnati in America a couple of days ago, and I just feel the need to speak on it because I've been watching it. And yeah, so let's talk on it. A youth was in a car with his friends in Cincinnati somewhere in a car park, and two marked police cars pulled into the car park. Seeing these youth in the car, apparently to them they've radioed through the car. The PNC checked the car, as we call it in England, which means they've checked the registration plate and all that on the system. And they're saying the car came back stolen. So they've chose to, instead of them approaching the car marked and, you know, coming out as marked police officers, they thought it best to bring undercovers in. So they've slid out. No, sorry, it was undercovers that was first in the car park, not marked police. I apologize. It was undercovers at first. Therefore, let's not do the undercover thing. Let's call the mark boys in and let them come and box in the people, them or whatever. Boom. Safety first, as they say. And they're saying that they're taught to do this. This is how they're taught to use their vehicles as shields as well as vehicles. Do you get it? So, yeah. Anyway, they've pulled up into this car park now. They've jumped out the car. The cars came back as stolen, so they're saying. So the police pulled into the car park. Long story short, they jumped out. The youth tried to get out the car. The youth running, and you can hear an officer saying, gun, gun, gun. And the other officer just draws down on him and obviously does what he does. Now, thing with this is that there can be a lot of blurred lines with these things, you know what I'm saying? So this is why I wanted to kind of like bring it to the forefront and speak about the topic. Yeah. So yeah, with that being said,
chaos at court as a man accused of killing a sheriff's deputy a day after his son was shot by a police officer asked to be released on bail. I lay out the horrific chain of events out of Ohio and where the case could be heading.
Are you familiar with the acts of someone that is not in their right mind when they commit a criminal act?
I'm Anjanette Levy, and this is Crime Fix. Before I get into this case out of Ohio, I want to talk a little bit about true crime news and law and crime merch. The Law and Crime Docket is your one-stop shop for trending stories, thrilling body cams, and an exclusive to them. Winners will be announced in the newsletter. Last Friday, he was doing that. Still working, though, occasionally for them. Winners will be announced in the newsletter. Now to the case out of Ohio, where Larry Henderson had retired as a Hamilton County Sheriff's deputy last December. He was still working, though, occasionally for that sheriff's office in Cincinnati doing special details. Last Friday, he was doing that, directing traffic for graduation at the University of Cincinnati when police say a man named Rodney Hinton Jr. deliberately drove his vehicle into Henderson at this intersection. Deputy Henderson was rushed to the local trauma center.
You know what gets me? Is that so far on all of this, they have not mentioned anything about the child who was unalived by the police officer. And it's like, this is a little bit one way as well. And I don't like that. That's why I feel the need that I've had to speak on it. Like, you know, to kind of like give it even balance and, you know, I don't know. But I just felt the need to speak out. I just don't like the way they never showed enough courtesy to the child. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it was a child that was unalived. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, our officer's been unalived too. But before that, the child was unalived. That's the reason why the officer got unalived. So I think they need to kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
Go ahead, Bobby.
Watch carefully, please.
He's got a gun on your right, on your right!
This is the body camera footage from the officer who actually shot Ryan Hinton.
This is the other officer, the one who fires the shot. This is his body camera
Watch
as he
close.
approaches the scene. This is the firearm that was recovered at the scene after the individual was shot. This is what he had in his hand while the officers were chasing.
But it weren't pointed at no one.
It's just a photo of it here at criminalistics. Remember I told you he fell on the concrete and the officer said that they heard the metal hit the ground? There are 3 spots on here where this gun has...
How can you hear the metal hit the ground when all of that noise was going on? Let's hear how much noise was just going on then. And let's hear if you think you could hear a gun hitting the ground in the middle of all this noise.
This is the other officer, the one who fires the shot. This is his body camera as he approaches.
Now listen carefully. They're saying that they can hear a gun drop on the ground in the middle of all this noise. Tell me. Come on.
This is the firearm that was recovered at the scene after the
tank of gas. Now, all of this information about 18-year-old Ryan Hinton was revealed in a press conference after the police chief and others met with Ryan Hinton's family, including his father, Rodney Hinton Jr.
On Friday morning, we met with the police chief of Cincinnati, and we viewed the body cam video of what happened with the police-involved shooting with Ryan. We stayed at the chief's office for about an hour and a half, and what we saw was disturbing. The family was upset, as you can imagine, watching your son, watching your grandson, watching your loved one getting shot and killed by the police was upsetting to this family. We left out of the police chief's office, and a few hours later I was made aware that Rodney had an incident with a police officer that resulted in the officer's death. But again, we are here because we represent the estate and the police-involved shooting.
Rodney Hinton left the meeting with the police chief, and sometime after that is when police say he intentionally drove his vehicle into Deputy Larry Henderson. A probable cause affidavit states a Hamilton County Sheriff's Office deputy was standing on the sidewalk at the corner of the intersection outside of the lanes of travel where he was engaged in traffic control. The deputy was wearing a uniform and a fluorescent traffic vest. Based on witness statements and evidence at the scene, the defendant drove across oncoming lanes of traffic through the intersection and directly at the deputy, who was struck by the vehicle, causing injuries to the deputy. That intersection near the University of Cincinnati's campus has flowers and blue ribbons decorated in memory and in honor of Larry Henderson, a man who was simply working a detail directing traffic for the University of Cincinnati's graduation. He worked at a different agency, the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office, than the police officer who shot Ryan Hinton. Larry Henderson had absolutely nothing to do with what happened to Ryan Hinton. On Monday, Ryan Hinton's family stood with their lawyers, distancing themselves from what Ryan's father is accused of doing, intentionally murdering Deputy Henderson.
Bro, sorry, I just wanted to show you like this one thing. This guy, when they walked him into court and out, the amount of police they had there, you know, like for intimidation type. Obviously, they're going to say it's for support, but it's intimidation. They're intimidating this man in a situation. Yeah, he's done a bad thing, but he pays in. He's going through his karma. He's going through his justice. Like, let that take care. Let that do what it's doing. You don't have to come there and add extra pressure. But look what they've done. They surrounded this man in court to put pressure on him, and he still stood with his head high. You got to rate that. Let's get into a bit of what the solicitor was going back and forth with the judge and one of the prosecutors in the case. Let's get into that a little bit and see what was going on with that. This is a bail hearing. They're trying to go for bail, and I think they've waived a probable cause, the rights of probable cause. They've waived that from the get-go, which means they're not going to go down the route of saying that he done it. You know, it was justifiable. They're not going to do that. But it does look like they're going to go down the roads of using mental health and that type of stuff, because he starts asking the prosecution, did you know, were you aware of this man having any mental health issues, or was you aware of this? So they're already starting to build their defense. Do you know what I'm saying? So let's get into it and let's see what's good.
Shortly thereafter, court resumed, with Hinton's lawyer asking for bail for him and entering a not guilty plea on his behalf.
Judge, I'm going to waive probable cause as a waiving probable cause.
Thank you so much. And is there a plea this morning?
There's a plea of not guilty, Your Honor.
Plea of not guilty? Will you enter a plea of not guilty? And thank you. And as to bond, the state has requested a hearing on the issue of bond or bail. You may be aware of that.
I am aware of that.
Who would like to proceed?
I would proceed, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, a detective testified about what happened that day.
Tell me what he did after he stopped.
So based on witness statements as well as the video, the vehicle accelerated quickly, proceeded eastbound, crossed into the oncoming lanes of traffic when there was no longer traffic to obstruct his travel. Crossed into the oncoming lanes of traffic, went to the left of those little stanchions that are in the middle of the roadway, into the oncoming lanes, through the intersection, directly at where Deputy Henderson was standing, struck Deputy Henderson and the metal utility pole on the northeast corner of the intersection.
Okay. Were there any evidence of skid marks?
No, there were no indications at any point that he tried to brake, stop, or otherwise avoid Deputy Henderson.
And is that the conclusion that our accident reconstructions have come to at this point?
At this time, yes.
Okay. And does it appear from your review of the video that he headed straight for Deputy Henderson?
Yes.
And did any of the multiple witnesses that you spoke to and the people that were in the vehicles that were surrounding him, the people that were on scene, did anyone indicate that
He accelerated, was traveling at a high rate of speed, all the way up until the time that he struck Deputy Henderson.
Okay. And when he struck Deputy Henderson, was the deputy injured?
Yes.
Okay. And what happened after he struck Deputy Henderson?
Deputy Henderson was launched several feet through the air. He came to rest in a turn lane several feet from where the collision occurred.
Rodney Hitton's defense attorney then questioned the detective.
Judge, first of all, I would like to offer on behalf of the Hinton family and myself, prayers to the Hinton family, prayers to the family of Larry Henderson, the fallen deputy, and I thank the court for having a fair assembly in the courtroom today. With that, I'd like to ask you a few questions, not a lot, okay? You said that Mr. Hinton left the police station around 12:13. CIS.
He initially left around 10:30
Came back and then left again.
and then returned a couple hours later. Yes.
And you said that individuals that know Mr. Hinton, his family members, were saying that he appeared to be agitated, upset, and so forth, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you don't know the source of that agitation or that distraughtless, do you? If you know, you might not. I don't think you do, but you have to answer the question.
The source of the agitation?
Yes.
Well, I would assume that was because of I believe it was because of the video and the reason that he was at
Right.
CIS.
Do you know the mental history of Mr. Hinton?
No, I do not know detailed mental history.
Right. Do you know whether or not he's had any medically documented infirmities or conditions? Do you know that? You don't, do you?
No, I do not.
After bond was denied, the sheriff gave a brief statement.
He was a 33-year career deputy for our department. He retired approximately 5 months ago, and he continued to serve under oath.
Guys, I get it, man. I think we've heard enough to like kind of, you know, make talk on it and, you know, have an opinion or a decision or whatever. I mean, let's be right. There's right and there's wrong. Unaliving anybody without probable cause or without the right to do so is wrong. Let's stand on that. But I will say, I'm very, very like torn. I mean, obviously, my whole heart goes out to the child who was unalived, and I mean, condolences to the family and the police officer that was unalived as well. However, I do think there has to be accountability in the sense of he was in the car, he did have a firearm, he did get out of the car with a firearm. Now, whether the car was stolen or not, there's no proof of that. We've not seen no proof that that car was stolen or none of that. So I can't put a definitive word on that. We don't know if the car was stolen. They said the car was stolen. You know, I have known cases where police have lied to make probable cause. So that is a very big thing in America with the police system in America. They're very gun-ho when it comes to shooting black African Americans. Let's be point blank. It is what it is. But I just want to know your views, guys. I want to know what you lot think on this. I've tried to give you the deepest insight into it as I can with my own resources. As I said, I'm new to this. I'm just beginning. So anyone involved in the journey from now will be recognized when I build up and I'm up there or whatever. But yeah, man, if you rock with me, rock out with me, man. And if anybody's got anything they want to see or anything that they want me to talk about, hit me up, man. I'm on TikTok. My TikTok channel is YoungSM9. My Instagram channel is YoungSM. Yeah, and my YouTube channel is YoungSM as well. But this is Spill TV, where we're giving you all this spill from the streets. It is what it is. But yeah, guys, man, where do you lot stand on this, man? I want to know what you lot think. What do you think about how the grandfather... What do you think on how the grandfather spoke on the court steps? You know, giving condolences to everyone and, you know, not taking a stand, not taking a stance and saying, yeah, this is... You know what I'm saying? He was diplomatic and he was humble. Where do you stand on... where do you stand on the police and how they dealt with the situation? You know what I mean? How do you feel? How do you feel on how people talked about it? How do you feel on how people's stances on it and what people are saying about it? Tell me how you feel. Get in the comments, guys. Subscribe and obviously hit the like button. You know how to do. You know what we do. Guys, thank you for locking in with me today, man. It's your boy Young SM, man. You're locked into Spill TV. You know what it is. Lock in and get locked out, man. And you're not locking in, so you must be locked out. 1.